Pep Guardiola's double false 9 system versus Zidane. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2, a tactical analysis. Before this video starts, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all our tactical analysis videos coming out in the next few weeks, including the Champions League games as well as the El Clasico between Barcelona and Real Madrid this Sunday. Also, after this video, check out our tactical analysis of Bayern's 3-0 demolition of Chelsea in the Champions League and Atletico Madrid's 1-0 defeat of Liverpool last week. So Zidane set up his side in a 4-3-3 with Courtois in goal, Carvajal and Mendy the fullbacks, Ramos and Varane at centre-back with Casemiro, Modric and Valverde in midfield, with Isco on the right, Vinicius Jr on the left and Benzema up front. Pep Guardiola used what looked like a 4-3-3 shape but actually turned into a 4-4-2 with Edison in goal, Walker and Mendy the fullbacks, Laporte and Otamendi at centre-back, Rodri and Gundogan as a midfield double pivot, with Mahrez on the right, Gabriel Jesus starting on the left of midfield, and Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne playing as a front two. Guardiola's side started the game in an unconventional way, with Gabriel Jesus playing as a left midfielder in a 4-man midfield and De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva forming a front two out of possession, creating a 4-4-2 defensive shape for City. This was matched up against Real's narrow 4-3-3 shape, with Casemiro playing as a deep lying central midfielder, dropping in between Ramos and Varane when they split. This did enable Madrid to play through City's press quite easily, creating a 3 versus 2 in Madrid's build-up phase. Once Guardiola saw this fault, he pushed Gundogan forward from the midfield double pivot to man-to-man press Casemiro. The reason Pep used Gabriel Jesus as a left midfielder became evident. When City didn't have possession, he would assert an aggressive press when the ball was shifted out to the right side, to Varane in Madrid's build-up phase or to Carvajal in the middle third. His energy and acceleration made him a very good presser. However, City's pressing system looked disjointed and they didn't commit enough players forward to the press to stop Madrid playing out. When Madrid were able to stabilise possession in the middle third, City would retreat with De Bruyne and Silva sitting as a front two, looking to cut off the passing lanes into Madrid's central midfield, allowing Ramos and Varane to have the ball. Jesus was obviously given a specific task to track Carvajal's runs forward down the flank, which he seemed to do by dropping extremely deep, almost in line with the back line at times. Despite using a more conservative press in the middle third, City did push their defensive line high up the pitch in a bid to squeeze the space between the midfield and defence. This was done because Madrid focused their attacks on moving the ball into players between the lines. Zidane uses a very positionally fluid midfield setup, with Casemiro sitting deep, but Valverde, Isco and Modric varying their positions from in the half spaces behind Rodri and Gundogan to dropping deep alongside Casemiro to receive the ball. The fluidity does make it extremely hard to man-to-man press when Madrid have the ball in the middle third, as what would happen is if Rodri was to tightly mark Modric for example, who was sitting high up the pitch, when the Croatian was to make a movement into a deep position, Rodri would follow and a massive space would open up for Isco and Valverde to move into, and Real's quick interplay would allow them to get the ball threaded into these players and enable them to turn and be running at the back line of City. When City did have possession and looked to build out from the back, Madrid were ready to assert an extremely aggressive press. When the ball was in Manchester City's defensive third, Madrid's front three would create a V-shape, with Benzema and either Isco or Modric pushing up alongside him to press the centre-backs, whilst the other would cut off the passing lane into Rodri. When Gundogan dropped deep, Valverde or Casemiro would follow him, and at times Madrid had pushed their whole central midfield three forward to the press, with Casemiro and Valverde excellent at reading passes into the City midfield too, and immediately racing out to close them down. This forced City long on a number of occasions, allowing Madrid to dominate possession in City's half. Zidane's pressing system resembled a 2012 Dortmund-Genghis pressing style, as when Real Madrid lost possession in City's defensive third, the narrow midfield five would fold in on itself, compressing the play, and players would aggressively move towards a player in possession rather than retreating into a defensive shape. This really stifled City's ability to play through the midfield and allowed Real Madrid to win the ball back high up the pitch. Madrid should have took the lead when Vinicius squandered the rebound from Benzema's header, which was a crucial miss in this game. In the second half, Real's intense press continued, with Modric and Casemiro moving high up to man-to-man press Rodri and Gundogan, as Real continued to use that V-shaped press. However, it did become clear why Guardiola was using De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva as a front two. He wanted them to play as a double false 9, with both dropping deep from the front line in behind the Madrid midfield. This was Madrid's vulnerability, as they were pushing Casemiro, Valverde and Modric so high up that there was a massive space in behind them. In the first half, City couldn't thread these passes through into De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, who were positioned between the lines, because of Madrid's pressing, forcing them to move the ball away from Rodri and Gundogan. However, when City were able to beat the Madrid press in the second half, a simple pass into De Bruyne would allow him to transition the attack with his dribbling and move the attack into the Madrid defensive third, which looked like City's most likely way of creating. Real were obviously aware of this, as Casemiro did sit deeper in the anchor man position when City had the ball in the middle third, in order to cut off the passes into De Bruyne. However, he continued to push forward when the ball was in City's defensive third. This was obviously a continuous game plan from Zidane to force City to play long balls forward. In the 58th minute, Madrid's press worked. With City building out, Rodri was caught on the ball as the high narrow midfield of Real Madrid folded into City's midfield, creating a swarm-like pressing pattern which allowed them to win the ball high up the pitch, catch City's centre-backs out of position and take the lead after Isco's tidy finish. Gabriel Jesus was moving inside into a left-sided striker position when City had the ball, despite having to move back into the left side of midfield when they lost the ball. But around the 72nd minute, Guardiola brought in Sterling and shifted Jesus to a centre-forward position, with De Bruyne in behind him. This central position allowed Jesus to be in the centre of the box when De Bruyne whipped in a cross, and the Brazilian was there to head the ball past Courtois to make it 1-1. De Bruyne continued to be City's key outlet for transitioning their attacks, as he sat in behind Casemiro and allowed City to simply play a pass into him and he would drive the attack forward. It was Pep's tactical change to put Sterling on the left, which also paid dividends, as he was able to isolate Carvajal in a one-on-one situation in a way that Gabriel Jesus wouldn't have been able to do, and it's from this situation that a penalty was given and De Bruyne made it 2-1 from the penalty spot. This was a smash and grab from Manchester City, with Zidane and Real getting their pressing tactics right for the majority of the game, stifling City's progression of the play forward by stopping them playing through the midfield. Pep's use of a double false 9 didn't have the same impact as it did versus Manchester United in the Carabao Cup, but mainly being because Rodri and Gundogan weren't able to get on the ball enough in the midfield third. However, Pep's in-game changes were key to this turnaround, and he should receive credit for that. In the end, it was the individual ability of Jesus, Sterling and De Bruyne which made the difference, but Madrid are still in this tie despite needing 2 goals at least at the Etihad and not having Ramos, who was sent off, or Ferland Mendy for the trip to Manchester.